What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Coach Nostra back at you guys with another sneaker unboxing review and that on feet look with the sock combo, guys. Without any delay, fam, let's jump into another one. The Nike PG4 GE, which stands for Gamer Exclusive. The colorway on this one is Russet / Glacier Ice and Terra Blush. That's a mouthful, guys, but definitely intrigues me. Those are some pretty cool colors and definitely some weird colors to see thrown together in a size 11, guys. And of course, you've got that little 2K20 sticker on the box right there because you had to unlock these by playing NBA 2K20. Fam, let's check out this pair. Alright guys, there they are in hand, the Nike PG4 GE. This is actually the second gamer exclusive to release that you've been able to unlock by playing NBA 2K20. The first colorway was an alternate version of that Gatorade colorway, which was the first colorway really to hit shelves. And then this one is something completely unique. No alternative versions of this colorway that we've seen so far. However, I feel like if the season was going on and we were in the playoffs right now, I feel like you definitely see some PE colorway variations of this color. The possibilities are really kind of endless in my opinion. The shoe itself is really clean. It's pretty much dominated by this sort of orange brown color, which is what the box referred to as Russet. It very much sort of has that Texas Longhorn kind of orange to the color itself. However, when you look at the splashes of Digi Camo on the upper itself, when you look really closely, there's actually two slight variations. So there's a slightly darker orange, and then there's a little bit more of like a muted tan in terms of that actual upper pattern. And then it all sits atop a really muted light tan sort of backdrop to the rest of the sneaker, which really kind of blends right into the colors that you see on the midsole. You also see a bit of that color really dominant right here on the midfoot portion on the lateral side of the sneaker. So all that color just sort of seamlessly blends right into that outsole, which is predominantly white. Now, of course, when you're taking in that upper, you can't help but notice all that Digi Camo right from jump. But I would say the next thing that you really notice is, of course, going to be the mesh shroud that dominates the medial portion of the shoe. And then you're going to kind of take in some of the accent colors that you see on the shoe, which is going to almost be sort of like this dusty teal kind of color that you see on the swoosh, or this sort of barely volt kind of color that you see on the actual zipper or some of the pulls on the shoe itself. As you turn to the medial portion of the shoe, a humongous contrast from the lateral side of the shoe. As you see, the shroud upper on the medial portion is really dominated by this mesh material that you're able to actually kind of see through, so you can see some of the underworkings of the shoe, the actual lacing system of the shoe, which is pretty cool. If you unzip that zipper that covers up that lacing system and expose the laces, you'll see that the lace is sort of that Texas Longhorn orange kind of color, and then there's this dot pattern that's sort of in like this gold color that culminates with the plastic gold tips on the actual ends of the laces themselves. A pretty cool little touch in my opinion. We've seen a lot of solid colored laces. I mean, that's predominantly what we see from Nike basketball these days, and really for the last probably 4 years or so. So it's always kind of cool to see when they switch it up on the laces a little bit. On the actual tongue of the sneaker, you've got that barely volt pull, which is there to help you get your foot into the shoe. That combined with the pull that's on the back heel portion of the shoe, that's going to make it quite a bit easier and possible to get your foot into this shoe, because of course we don't have that free fitting tongue. You're relying more on that sort of elastic kind of sock fit to the upper of the shoe as you slide your foot into this shoe itself. As we touched on before, the lacing system on the medial side, you can see some of the inner workings and how it's sort of in conjunction with the rest of the shoe, and the actual tabs that you throw the laces through are going to be sort of this really bright kind of teal color, which adds a little bit of pop. And although it's subtle and kind of hard to see under the mesh, when you get a little bit closer, it's a nice little added touch. Same for that miniature swoosh on the medial portion of the shoe as you start to work your way back towards the heel of the shoe. And speaking of that heel, we touched on that pull that's back there, but that's the one place that you have this sort of bold hit of shiny gold on the back heel cup of the shoe itself. Something a little bit different from the rest of the colorway, definitely adds a pretty cool little angle and something else to catch the eye on the rest of that sneaker itself. It's funny because the accent colors that they chose to throw on this shoe, there's not a lot of it going on, as there typically isn't with accent colors, and the two accent colors themselves we don't necessarily even associate with each other, but you definitely would not associate those colors with this sort of orange, sort of brown kind of color that dominates the rest of the shoe. So something, in my opinion, that's very, very unique, something I did not expect, and in my opinion, something that really surprised me how much I really dug the whole colorway itself. Another cool feature is when you look at the actual tongue of the shoe, you see the PG logo right there on the tongue. It's kind of like this little rubber hit that they've stitched onto the tongue itself, but in my opinion, because of the rest of the color of the shoe and the actual kind of muted skin tone color of the actual PG logo itself right there, it kind of has like a luxury kind of look to me. It almost kind of reminds me of like a wine seal or like the seal of a king or something like that melted into wax. That's definitely what it makes me think of right off the top of my head. As we turn to that outsole, the traction pattern on that outsole, definitely pretty cool, pretty unique, but fairly uniform because you've got a lot of circular patterns to the traction system on that shoe itself. The outsole itself is a very, very light color, which of course over time is going to get really, really dirty. You've got white all along the perimeter of the outsole, and then that sort of barely volt color dominates the interior of the outsole right there. These shoes just feel amazing on feet. They chose to do something very different with the Air Strobel board that they kind of created in this shoe. All Paul George's shoes leading up to this shoe had always had the Zoom Air, and they chose to take it in a different direction with this shoe by just going with the Air units as opposed to the Zoom Air units. A lot more of a forgiving shoe. The way I always think about it is when you've got the Air units, it's more like a pillow. When you've got those Zoom Air units, there's more spring back to that pillow. So it's not just cushioning you, it's actually propelling you back towards what you're doing, back into the jump or back off the floor. Whereas in the Nike Air, it's more just a cushion. It's just kind of accepting you as you're coming down. A lot more forgiving, a lot softer. And while people have debated for decades really what's better, it's really a matter of preference and what you like and what feels best for you in your game and your feet really. But in my opinion, guys, just a really amazing shoe and a really, really cool colorway that I was not expecting at all. What do you guys think of these? Did you cop these? Did you unlock these? Let's check these things out on feet. Y'all know what to do. Comment, like, subscribe. Any questions, throw them down below. I will try to hit you guys back as promptly as I can. Thank you guys for rocking with me in my videos. Much love. Peace.